And welcome to the Howard County Council meeting for August. If you'll rise. Councilwoman.
Let's pledge the flag, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to invite you to join me in prayer. Lord God, we just thank you for this day and for the opportunity once again to discuss business of the county. We just ask that you be with us, help us to make wise decisions that are in the end the best for all involved. We just thank you for the weather, a little hot, some people might think, but still weather that we can enjoy. Just thank you for having the opportunity to live in this country. We just pray these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, our first order of business will be to approve the meeting minutes for the month of July.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilwoman Lake and Councilman Alexander. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Our next order of business will be the additional appropriations. Madam Auditor?
Ordinance number 2024-HCCO-32, additional appropriations. Whereas it has been determined that it's now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the 2024 annual budget. Now therefore be it ordained by the County Council of Howard County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. County General Fund, Magistrate Court, Court Reporter, $1,212.64. Election, Equipment, $87,400. Total County General Fund, $88,612.64. Lit Special Purpose Fund, Jail, Correction Officers, $76,601.60. Overtime Correction, $275,000. FICA, $191.25. Employee Service Bonus, $2,500. Total Lit Special Purpose Fund, $354,292.85. County User Fee, Participant Meals, $30,000. Total County User Fee Fund, $30,000. JCC PSC Grant, PSC Case Manager, $30,600. Juvenile Referee, $10,000. FICA, $3,104. PERF, $6,630. Insurance, $7,366. Drug screen supplies, $7,400. Curriculum, $500. Incentive and rewards, $1,500. Drug screen, $1,000. Total court services, $700. Travel and training, $8,800. Total JCC PSC grant, $77,600. JDAI grant, office supplies, $100. Supplies, $2,500. Travel and training, $4,861.82. Total JDAI grant fund, $7,461.82. Total additional appropriations for all funds, $557,967.31.
Thank you very much. If we could please have Magistrate Court Judge Shepard, please. Welcome.
Well, thank you. How much detail do you want me to get in, since a lot of you, for this will be the third time you have heard this?
You have the floor.
Just quickly, basically what happened is a few years ago when I asked that my court reporters be brought up to a similar level as the court reporters in the other courts, there were at that point in time different pay scale. I received that they went up to the middle And then that year, all court reporters were made to make the same amount of money, but mine stayed at that number that I asked for, rather than going the same across the board numbers. So it got caught, and it was just the timing of when I asked for the amount of money. And I think that's been going on for almost like 2 years, and I just caught it, and I was asking, actually what I asked was for next year's budget, but then now I'm here asking that at least for the rest of the year, they get paid at the same rate as all the other court reporters in the courthouse.
Any questions or comments for Judge Shepherd? Judge, thank you for coming in.
All right,
and
thank
we're
you.
sorry to have you down here.
No, that's okay.
For a third time,
Yeah, no,
but thank you. Okay. Our next presenter will be Clerk Debbie Stewart.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm still froggy. So I'm here today to get the approval for additional equipment. Additional appropriation of $87,400. The agreement is for $97,400. I have $10,000 in my equipment fund that I will pay for. And then I have a $50,000 grant. So once reimbursed from the grant, we will be spending $37,400 out of general fund. So the equipment will go towards the early voting centers to help with the flow of traffic.
Okay.
And that's to purchase 20 express votes?
Yes, express votes.
Any questions or comments for Madam Clerk?
Will they be delivered before the election?
Yes, they will be.
Will we be
I
all,
just talked to my salesman today.
will we be all set up for the election?
Yep.
When this comes in, right?
We will.
Tamper-proof? Tamper-proof?
Correct, yes, they will be. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming in.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Sheriff Asher, please.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Tim,
afternoon.
good to see you.
Good
We
to be
missed you
back.
we missed you last week.
I appreciate it.
You missed some spectacular presentations.
Not bad.
Kathy was one of them. So, I'm here for a couple of different things. One of them is for some new COs. I think I mentioned even at the budget session, we're fully staffed at 45, which I don't want to say too loud, but
Okay, now, you're fully staffed.
staffed with 45 correctional staff that we're allowed to have. Yes.
You know, I've never heard that
Me
phrase.
out of my
I've never heard that
mouth?
phrase before.
I don't think you have.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Fully staffed
But
at
obviously,
45.
from the help of, from the commissioners and this board here, we were able to raise the CO's pay up a little bit to get to the same as my dispatchers. We had quite a bit of influx in people submitting. We actually have more people in the wings than what we have spaces for. So that's, I know, it's hard for me to even say it, John. It is. So we're at 45 correctional officers right now. I submitted for 5. I know the kind of the agreement was to do 3 at a click. So I guess I'm here to whatever we need to do to try to help out and get a few more correctional staff. I think we were going to try to cap it out at 54. So that's kind of why I asked for 5 more. And I think we can fill those positions.
Mhm.
So that's the amount of $76,601.60. That would be for the rest of the year for 5 correctional officers.
If we kept her at 3, just to keep our order, would that be okay?
That would be just fine.
Okay.
Sheriff, so when you say you're fully staffed at 45, but you want to cap out at 54, what's the?
Well, the reason we had a staff study done a few years back that said we needed 54 correctional officers to properly function the jail. With that's not including my 9 supervisors, but 54 correctional staff is what the Sheriff's Association, we have a person that came in and went through our jail to tell us, hey, how many correctional staff do you need to do to run the jail? 54 is the number that he devised for our posts. So that's where I'm getting the 54 number. Right now, you've allowed us to have 45, so that's why I'm saying I'm fully staffed. The council has permitted us.
Okay, so you're just saying fully staffed according to what we've,
What you've given me, what you've approved for me is 45. So I'm fully staffed with 45 correctional officers. Now I'm here to ask for a few more.
Okay.
Still trying to reach that 54 mark, but we just need to do it in increments at a time. So, yes, sir.
So this is a little bit of a comment, but when I thought about stepping up, I thought 3 at a time was a reasonable step.
Sure.
But I also thought it's a little arbitrary. And I would admit that I think it's a little arbitrary. 5 at a time would be a bigger step, but,
Bigger
and I thought a couple months ago, well, let's see if they can fill 3 at a time, and
Mhm.
the answer is yes, you can.
Yep.
Does not having 5 hurt you, or is it okay, or is it, man, we'd have 5 people, they're all ready to sign on the dotted line, but I can only hire 3, or what, how do you view the impact of us saying, you know what, a couple months ago, we agreed to take the steps 3 at a time?
And yeah, I don't have a bit of problem doing 3 at a time. That doesn't hurt my feelings whatsoever. We can hire 3 and then come back in a month or so and ask for 2 more or 3 more at that point, if you so desire. But I was just asking for a big chunk, because we got a big influx of people applying for the sheriff's office for the corrections, and then I got all excited about having 45. The issue, with 45, we still haven't got everybody trained. So by about, I think, mid-September, I think we're going to have a few. We're going to have a few more on the floor, which really helps us. I showed you guys at budget time what the overtime per 2 weeks were, and it dropped down to way low. I'd love to get below that 12,000 mark would be great. So that's helped us. Now, we do have 2 people on military leave, so we've kind of lost them for 6 months, a year, however long that's going to be. So we are short a couple military leave wise, but obviously we have their positions open.
is that out of the 45?
That is out of the 45.
So you actually have 43.
43, we still have those positions. They are guaranteed those positions when they
Okay.
come back, but we are short those two gentlemen on military leave, so.
And
Yes.
From the date of hire to the date of being independent on the floor, how long is that?
It definitely depends. I know you met our newest correctional officer. She's been here about 2 weeks, last week at budget session. Luckily, she's got a couple of years' experience with the Department of Corrections, so she's gonna be a little bit easier and hopefully a little bit faster to be on the floor over a couple month time period. I'm trying to think, I don't wanna misspoke, 4 to 5? Yeah. To get him fully trained? Okay.
So, can we assume that by the first of the year, we should really knock that overtime line, just knock it right to the floor, pretty much?
I'm liking what you're saying.
Is that a safe assumption?
That would be I'm hoping that would be an assumption that we could have. That would be great. To get everybody fully trained that we have on staff. Like I said, we're still gonna be a couple short just with the military folks, but I think we're gonna survive. We looked at September already, and it luckily overtime kind of drastically reduced for that time period. I've knocked on a lot of wood today, just thinking about this.
This is a good example
So-
of the future is too unpredictable to predict. And Councilman Faulkner said we didn't really anticipate filling these spots
That quickly.
so
Right.
quickly. And
So, I'm a little bit hung up on calling candidates 4 and 5.
Mhm.
1, 2, and 3, right, yeah, and then 4 and 5, do they walk away from the offer because we don't approve it, or because we said we want to have a stair step of 3, or do they say, oh, you know what, we'll probably get that later on and not a big deal? So what's your feel for that?
You want me to crack my crystal ball out, don't you?
Yes, sir.
As far as that goes. I feel pretty confident that we can fill the 5. I think 3 right away for sure. And I think we have 4 and 5 in the wings. So I guess the worst could happen is if you approve 5 and I don't fill those 5, then that money still stays in the account. I mean, that would be probably the worst scenario that I could see
Well, maybe,
being here. So
maybe a worse scenario, and I think this is what Frank's alluding to,
Yes.
is you fill 3 and those other 2 that are in the wings go
go
to
away.
Tipton
And
County or
that's-
somewhere.
It could, and that could be the case, yes.
And then I wondered, how soon do you think you'll, I mean, look at your crystal ball again.
I'm gonna crack it out, Martha.
Okay, how soon do you think you'll be back for the other 2? That's what I'm thinking.
I would think if we fill these right away, it would be next month.
Okay,
I mean,
that's,
That's what I would say.
So
Next
even though
month.
I was an advocate of taking the stair
Yeah.
step that 3 at a time,
Mhm.
I could see value, especially because you said you got 2 guys in the reserve
Yeah.
serving their reserve duty to go ahead and authorize it.
Yeah, I see,
yeah.
this is kind of unusual. We're saying you need more money than you're asking for.
Yeah.
I see no point, if we're going to, feel like we're gonna approve this next month, I see no point in waiting
Well,
until
isn't
next
this-
month.
Does this 76 number, doesn't that reflect? did you
That
say
reflects 5.
Oh, okay.
That reflects
reflects
5. We asked for 5, we did put 5 in here, 76,660. So that's what I am asking for. I'm just saying, if, I know we agreed to 3, so I'll be
But
flexible.
that was at a time when we
flexible.
said, you know,
True.
you said to us, you're having difficulty filling those jobs. Somebody
Correct.
said that to us. It may not have been you.
No, I've said it before, so. Yes. So to be happy with 5, I'd be happy with 3, and we can see where we're at with that. I've got no problem with that. Like I said, if we hire 3 right away, we don't hire 4 and 5, I guess the money doesn't go away, it just stays right there, and
It
it
just
gets,
drops down to the next line below it, the overtime.
well, yeah, I hope
Yeah.
not, but yeah,
So,
could be. Absolutely.
Any more questions for Sheriff Asher? Sheriff, take a motion on this? Do it after?
We're gonna do them all together.
I got a few other things to do, but
Well, I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'm gonna
wants to
move
make a
that we approve the request as is presented with that 76,601 representing hire of potentially 5 new corrections officers.
And I second that.
right.
Okay, the motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilwoman Lake. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
So the next thing I have is Christina and I were just talking about this before, just a few minutes before we came in here. So I'm asking for additional appropriation of $275,000 for overtime. So that is another crystal ball issue of, okay, we hire 5, we have them trained before the end of the year. Do we need 275,000? I don't know. So I'm at the mercy. We do need some overtime money to get us through the end of the year. We know that is going to be a fact. How much is that going to be? I think maybe we overestimated a little bit with the 275. So that's what is on the table, of $275,000 in overtime to get us through the rest of the year. We do have a transfer of $20,000 coming here in a little bit, but right now it's overtime corrections, $275,000 overtime.
So are you comfortable with this, 275?
Oh, I'm definitely comfortable with it. I'm hoping we use a whole lot less than that. That's where the crystal ball gets to come out of, do we need that do we need that much? If we can get 45 that we have all trained, hire 5 more, hopefully get them trained in a few months, get them on, and hopefully that overtime drops way down. Here again, it's, if we are allowed to do that, that'll stay in the account and it'll get recycled if we don't use it.
Could we do 200,000, do you think? And then we'd have the 20,000 in the transfers.
Yeah,
If we had
I've got-
220,000 with
I have
that.
absolutely no problem with that whatsoever.
Reduce the 275 down to 220, Martha? Is that
No,
what you're
no,
saying?
reduce
Down
it
to
down to
200.
200,
200.
and then he has 20 in the transfers.
In a
That's what I
transfer,
meant.
right?
sound agreeable to everybody? The 275 becomes 200? Okay.
The last thing I have is, should be hopefully an easy one. One of the employees we just hired is a lateral transfer from the prison. So we'll take $2,500 out of commissary. We just need to do an additional appropriation of $2,500 to cover that. And then $191.25 will be the FICA to cover that position as well. So that will be transferring that out of commissary into lit to cover that. So that's a good thing. Like I said, having a lateral person that's already trained as a correctional officer makes it a little easier for us. So that is the last transfer I had.
Okay. Any further questions or comments for Sheriff Hall? Sheriff, thank you for coming in. and Thank you for
Appreciate
the good news.
Yes, good news for a change. That's always a good thing.
Thank you. Okay, our next presenter will be Community Corrections Director Dustin DeLong.
Right, good afternoon.
Hi,
Mine's
Dustin.
fairly simple. I need, I'm requesting an additional appropriation of $30,000 in our meal reimbursement fund so that I can then turn around and give it to Sheriff Asher. I mean, we're all giving money to Jerry. Jerry, let's keep giving them over. I'm all about sharing that money.
Today is birthday?
No, the money does cover the cost of jail meals. The Sheriff's Department's been great to us in providing meals for our participants, and we do appreciate it, and I'm just completely jacking around, so we do appreciate the participant meals, and
Is this,
we happily pay that money to him.
is this for work release?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, that's it.
Any questions or comments for Dustin?
You gotta feed them, right?
Have to have food, yeah.
Now, do they get the same menu as the jail inmates?
I don't know, yes. I knew there were some days it was different, but I don't remember why, so that answers our question, it is.
Okay,
All right,
Thank
thank
you
you,
very much.
appreciate it. Have a good day.
appreciate it. Okay. Our next presenter will be Connie Burton.
Hello. This is
Welcome.
easy, but do you want me to give more money to them? We were awarded grants. One is for our juvenile problem-solving court. That's the $77,600 that we use for our case manager, referee, training, drug screens, curriculum, and incentives. And then we have the JDAI grant that we have been given $4,861. And that is, we have our coordinator and our referee is required to attend quarterly meetings down in Indianapolis. So they pay for that. And then we're going to have 8 collaborative members that are going to get to go to a training in Fort Wayne in October.
Mhm.
That's what that funding is for.
Okay. That's not too bad.
No.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Burton?
Is this the case manager? Are they in Superior 1 or a circuit
No,
court?
juvenile.
Juvenile circuit.
Well, yeah, we have a juvenile court. So, yeah, Don Bollinger, he's our juvenile referee.
I couldn't think of the name.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Well, that is all the presenters for the additional appropriations. Are there any questions, council members? If not, I will entertain a
Are
motion.
we, we're not doing this last grant here?
The JDI
JDI.
one. I
Yeah,
think we
she
just,
just- she just
she
talked
presented
about
both of them.
Oh, she presented, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah. She had both of them on that.
Okay. Mr. President, I move that we approve these additional appropriations with these changes. The corrections officer we have already approved, and changing the overtime corrections 275,000 to 200,000.
Second. Excellent motion, by the way. The motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Alexander and Councilman Brett Sanders. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next order of business will be to address the transfers Madam Auditor?
Resolution number 2024-HCCR-14, transfers. Whereas the county council may approve the transfer of money from one major budget classification to another within a department or office, if the transfer does not require the expenditure of more money than the total amount set out in the budget as finally determined, and if the transfer is approved at a regular public meeting and by the proper ordinance. Be it resolved by the County Council of Howard County that it's desired and deemed necessary that the following transfers be made within the accounts of the designated funds as set out below. County General, Auditor, Chief Deputy to Supervising Deputy, $462.42. Sheriff, Deputy to Community Policing, $2,000. Lit Special Purpose Part-Time Cook to Overtime Corrections, $20,000.
Thank you very much. It looks like you're going to be our first
I'm
presenter.
up first. So this did go to PAC. We had some changes in our office, and so we had reduced the chief deputy line and moved some of those responsibilities to our supervising deputy. So this is just to compensate her for her extra duty.
Things are working out well.
Yes.
Great. Great. Any questions for Jessica? Our next presenter will be Sheriff Asher again.
I don't see. So we need to do a couple transfers. We're a little short in community policing. Community policing is the one that we use primarily for the fair time, or overtime for the fair. So we have a little bit of money left in our deputy line item, $2,000. We need to transfer from deputy line item to community policing. And then we have been short quite some time a part-time cook. I'm still trying to get Peggy to do it, but she has not put an application in. So we did, if anybody knows a cook at the Howard County Sheriff's Office, we would be more than happy to take a look at that. So definitely need a part-time cook. So we were able to take that money and help out the overtime, $20,000 from part-time cook to overtime correction.
Okay. Any questions for the sheriff?
Please do. I appreciate it. Any help we can get.
So is that, what you're transferring from the deputy to the community policing? Is that just from the deputy that you lost earlier this year? Extra?
Yeah, a little bit extra there, yeah.
How does the community policing work? You just assign shifts, people sign up for shifts for like the fair and whatnot, and then they just get some extra overtime for that?
That's what we do, is it's all overtime at the fair. We don't wanna pick people off the street during that time, because we put quite a few people out at the fair. Obviously, you know, it's pretty busy during that time. So we put out what we call a sign-up genius, and you can sign up for one shift until everybody else gets a chance to do it, and you can sign up for a second. So we put 2 deputies roving out, we put 2 correctional staff, and we also have people working the tent too. So busy, obviously, lots and lots of people out there, so we need a little extra help. So yeah,
Anything else with that, or just the fair?
pretty much the fair is what we do with community policing. Yep, takes up the bulk of that.
Sheriff,
Thank you.
very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Appreciate it. That's all the presenters for the transfers. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move we approve these transfers as presented.
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilman Maple. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next order of business will be salary ordinance amendments.
Ordinance number 2024-HCCO-33, salary ordinance amendments. An ordinance amending and increasing staffing and salary authorization to be paid county employees for the calendar year effective January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, as originally approved for the year 2024, except where otherwise noted. Be it ordained by the Council of Howard County, Indiana, that for the said fiscal year, the following salary amendments are approved as additional changes to the basic salary ordinance for the same fiscal year. Necessary personal services appropriations have been approved previously to support the required expenditure of necessary funds. County General Fund, Sheriff, Deputy, reduction, 2,000. Community policing, 2,000. Magistrate court, court reporter, $1,212.64. Lit special purpose fund, jail, correction officer, $76,601.60. Overtime corrections, 200,000. FICA, $191.25. Employee service bonus, 2,500. JCC PSC grant, PSC case manager, 30,600. Juvenile referee, 10,000. FICA, 3,104. HERF, 6,630. Insurance, $7,366. And I also wanted to make a note that the veteran service officer part-time hourly rate has increased to $14.34. $14.34.
Okay. So our ordinance has been presented. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve as read, with the 1434 part-time hourly rate also mentioned in the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been properly made and seconded by Councilwoman Lake and Councilman Alexander. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Next order of business will be to address any old business. Is there any old business we need to attend to? We'll move on to new business. New business is Economic Redevelopment Commission Project Manager Pam Isaac.
Good afternoon. The council lost a member on the Economic Redevelopment Commission, and the name that has been brought forward to take that person's place is Ralph Carpenter for the Howard County Economic Redevelopment Commission appointment from the council. So I need you to approve that, please.
Ralph Carpenter is a very fine man. He's a pipe fitter. He's 69 years old. And he is as sound as an Eagle Scout and just one of the best men I can think of. If there's any questions about him, I'd be happy to answer them.
So how long is that term for?
So it is, at this point, it is a one-year term. He's actually taking the place of another gentleman, so it will end on January 1st of 25, since it's a reappointment. Excuse me, no, it's not. He's taking the place of someone. So, because this is a new commission, it was only for a year.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move we approve this recommendation for Ralph Carpenter to be on the Economic Redevelopment Commission.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilman Maple. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. I wrote it.
Came up.
Our next presenter will be Highway Superintendent Amber Toll.
Hi,
Amber, welcome.
thank you. And thank you guys for letting me present tonight, since I missed my time last week being out of town, so I do appreciate you guys letting me speak tonight. I did hand out a little packet to everybody. Hopefully you got one. If you need one, just yell. But this has most of the information. I figured it was easy just to kind of see it at a glance. I'll go through each of my fund lines. If you guys have any questions, shout them out. Hopefully I won't take too terribly much of your evening, but I do want to go through this because it's very important to us.
Amber, just take your time. We have plenty of time, and
Okay.
the floor is yours.
Okay, great, thank you.
And we're very curious about the highway department, so
Awesome.
we're happy to listen to you.
The first sheet that I gave you guys is just some notes as I go through. I figured it was kind of easier to sort of jot some of these things down just to kind of soak them in. But the first thing I want to do is just kind of go over a little bit of the highlights from the highway department for this year specifically. We did finally break ground on our salt barn, so we're very excited for that to be constructed. That should be done by November sometime. And then we will be able to install our brine equipment and actually start using it this winter. So we're pretty excited about that. We've been talking about it for a while, so it's finally happening. And then the next thing I wanted to let you guys know about is we do have 3 of our vehicles that we had ordered in 2021. Finally, here we have all the 3 chassis. All 3 of those vehicles are being fitted for their beds, and 2 of those we should get here. Actually, all 3 of them we should get by our winter season. 2 of them we should get within the next 30 days, and then the next one to follow. So very excited about that, finally.
Ordered them in 2021.
2021.
This is 2024.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We've had to make some adjustments because of costs going up and quite a few different things. So 2 of those vehicles are international vehicles. Those are the ones that we purchased or ordered in 21. We did order a Freightliner vehicle that we just ordered within the last 8 months, and it will be ready in a month. So
which one is what? You got 2 dump trucks with internationals?
All 3 of them are tandem dump trucks, 2 of which have a belly blade on them, which is something new for us.
Is that
it's
the internationals?
One of them is international, one of them is a Freightliner that's going to have the belly blade.
Okay.
So we had to do some interesting ordering just to get through the Freightliner or the international system. It seems to be more bogged down from COVID or whatever than some of the other manufacturers. So that's what we went with.
What's the advantage to the belly blade?
So what we are going to do is we are going to try to replace our graders. Because what we do in the winter is we have 4 graders that we have, 1 in each corner of the county, and they do our like hard pack ice or any of our like really big drifts. They handle that kind of work. So we typically send 1 out in each corner. Our vehicles, I have a little chart later in this, they're incredibly old. Those graders are very old, and they are going to be a monster to try to replace. And I just don't think it's efficient for us to do that. I think it's more efficient for us to move into a better, more efficient system because we can use the tandem dump truck as a dump truck, and we can also use the belly blade. It just makes more sense for us to be a little bit more efficient. They can also, we can throw a plow on the front of them and they can be a plow as well. It's just, we want to try to move into a little bit more of an efficient, streamlined system than we've got going historically.
So the belly blade's more of a grader.
It's like a grader blade.
snowplow.
You can put a snowplow on the front of it, but it's a blade that's in the like between the wheels of the truck. So it uses the weight of the truck to push down and to scrape off that heavy ice or those big drifts and that kind of thing. So it will replace the use of graders in the winter, and we can go down to 1 grader that we would only use to grade ditches and sidelines and stuff like that. And it would just be more efficient for us because to replace a grader would be astronomically costly. So we're trying to
much practice to use it effectively.
It's gonna take some learning for sure for our guys. Yeah, and we're doing that kind of on a volunteer / time served sort of basis. Some of our more experienced guys are going to be getting training on that. We've spoken to quite a few other counties that do use the belly blades, and we've got some time set up. We're getting through our paving and chip sealing season right now, and then when we're doing our fall maintenance season, we're going to send several of our guys up to Grant County, and they've said, come on over. get some practice. Like we'll teach you what we know. So we've used our neighbors as resources too, to get some more training for our guys, hopefully very soon. So yeah, we're excited about it.
Great.
So yeah, those are coming soon. Like I said, we had a very successful paving season. We're finishing up our chip seal season. We probably got maybe another week, not quite a week left of that to go, and we'll be done with that. And then we'll be moving on to our fall maintenance type activities. So that's gone pretty well. We also just completed repairs on Bridge 45, which is the bridge on Dixon Road that is just south of Markland. That had been patched over and over and over. It was becoming a nuisance, and those patches were not even holding. So we did do a repair job on that. It went extremely well. It got done quicker than we expected and under budget. So it's a success every time.
What did you do to that bridge? Did you scrape the top off?
We did not. So everything was cleaned, and then what we did is we cut out the bad concrete, and there was quite a few of the patches. Obviously, those had to come out. We used a combination of kind of like a radar kind of thing to see what those bad areas are. And then also we did a sounding technique to figure out where the hollow spots were on the concrete. So all of those bad spots were cut out down to a certain depth. We exposed the rebar, and then we put in a patch that encased that rebar, and so that should gain us another 20 years on that bridge, because the bridge was otherwise fine. It was just the wearing surface that was deteriorating. So, so yeah, we did that work, and we were incredibly happy with the contractor. They did a fantastic job for us. It was E&B, their concrete division, and they did a great job for us.
I was surprised at how quickly that was.
It's very quick. It dries very quick. It cures very quick. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of time that we had to sit and wait. Most of it was just the cutting out and the prep work that took the longest time. So they had 2 weeks to shut down that roadway, and I think we were open like 1 or 2 days early. So they did a great job.
The bridge on 931 northbound. So I'm going southbound, I look over there, and I can see the side of the bridge, the inside of the bridge towards the west is really crumbled off, and it looks like it's in need of repair. Will that be done by us, or will that be the state?
It's 931, so the state still owns that bridge. The state still owns all of that area, all that line. So yeah, that would be on them to repair that, to make those repairs. So. And they're on the same schedule that we are as far as our bridge inspections. They're on a 4-year schedule as well. So they have to inspect their bridges every 4 years. And some of the bridges have to be inspected in between that time as well, depending on the deterioration. So, so yeah, they should have a report and know the condition of that. So, yep. Yep, no problem. So. So those are the big highlights of the things that we've kind of done in this last year. It's kind of exciting. So I would like to go ahead and just start in on my fund lines. If you go to the next page, that is our cumulative bridge fund, 1135. And I didn't have a whole lot of changes on that one. The one highlight I did want to talk about is Bridge 56, which if you look at the proposed budget for 2025, I have increased that to $250,000, and that is because that bridge will be constructed in 2025. So we have to front our construction money to the state to get that constructed. That's going to go out to bid in January. So we will know at that time what the bid actually comes in at. So we'll know what our commitment is at that point. With that, Bridge 56 is an interesting bridge. It probably has had the biggest impact with COVID because this bridge, we applied for federal funds in early 2020, I believe. It was before me, before I got here. So it was either end of 2019 or beginning of 20. And so those estimates were based on no thought or knowledge of COVID or anything that was to come. So those construction costs were based on, what we knew at the time, and the federal funds were awarded. Then COVID happened, and construction costs and material costs have gone outrageously expensive. So we don't know what the bridge might come in at. We're assuming it's going to come in heavier than what we had anticipated or estimated. And with the federal project, They have committed to giving us 80% of that construction cost, and we commit to providing 20%. Well, their 80% is locked in. So if the bid comes in way higher than we anticipated, the county has to fund that gap. So we are anticipating that we are going to have to overfund our 20%. So we're probably going to end up at 35% funding of that bridge. I have anticipated that. We've kind of seen this trend over the last couple of years. So I've become very conservative with our bridge fund, our cumulative bridge fund. So I do have some reserves to cover that. It's just a little bit of a question mark as like, we're going to have to pay a little bit more or a lot more. But I do think it's important for us to get that constructed. I don't want to lose those federal funds. So I think it's important for us to do
What's the
that.
timeline on that?
To be built?
Yeah.
It'll be built in 2025. So
Okay.
By the end of 25, it'll be done. So, and how that works is when it's bid, then we have to cut a check for the full bid, amount that we're responsible for. And then it gets used as they go. So we'll have to cut that check in January when it gets bid.
That's Bridge 56.
Bridge 56, yeah. And that's on County Road 300 East, just south of Sycamore. So I just wanted to kind of point that out because there probably will be a time when I come back and say, we need more money because this is where it bid at and this is where it came in. So to kind of make up for that, I did cut down our maintenance and service contracts line. I cut that down quite a bit. And then I also cut down our Bridge 46 because it's just in design phases and it's got kind of a gap year in the design. It's not going to cost us too much. So I did cut that down a little bit too. So, have any questions on cumulative bridge? It's nothing too exciting. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. The next fund is my local road. What's that? Sorry.
Common engineering group that does the bridge designs that you typically go to? Or,
We try to spread it out.
spread it out?
Now this one was BLN, Beam Longston Neff. And then I've used a couple other different ones, Lockmuller, USI, and we're kind of just trying to look into some other designers as well. I think healthy competition is good. I don't think it's good to rely on any one particular designer. You always get a better price with a little competition. And there's a lot of really, really, really good designers out there, which is nice to have experience with a lot of those guys and gals in my previous life here. So, yeah. Yeah, yep.
In your previous life, was you a bridge designer before you came here?
I did road design and I did construction inspection. So I oversaw road and bridge construction, and then I did road design as well. So I worked for a couple of different consulting firms, and then I worked with a lot of others. So, yep. So the next fund is the local road and street fund. It's 1169. I didn't make too terribly many changes with this one, but I did want to talk about a couple of them. I highlighted in blue on the right side in that spreadsheet. So the one I wanted to talk about is stone. I did increase stone because that material has increased quite a bit in cost. However, we're hoping that maybe that cost gets a little bit better. There's another new quarry coming into Tipton County that seems very interesting. So we'll see what their bids come in at. It may come in a little bit better, but we'll see.
You and me both.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So we'll see, but I do think it's important to increase that because we are using more stone in our edges, trying to keep all those safe drop-offs, and the cost of that is actually going up as well. So the other one I wanted to talk about is our paint. I increased that. Last year we had 30,000, and this year I wanted to increase that to 50. And that is mainly because we are shifting from using paint as our center lines to using thermoplastic, which comes with a little bit higher price tag, but I think it is very well worth it. So historically, all we've used as our, to mark our center lines is paint. So it's yellow paint, and it's what it sounds like, it's just paint. It does not wear very well. So on some of our main roads, our heavier traveled roads, that paint lasts maybe a year before we have to do it again. So we can maybe go every other year, but a lot of times we're painting every year. And paint is, like last year, we paid 30 cents a lineal foot for that. Now, if we use thermoplastic, it is a very thick material. It gets sprayed on the center line, and then it actually has a reflective material that goes on top of it. So it makes a huge difference at nighttime, because as your headlights hit it, I mean, you've seen a reflective pavement marking versus just a dull paint. And so we're shifting over to that treatment. I think it's very important, especially around our schools, you know, when we've got student drivers, nighttime driving, and then on our main roads. So we are shifting towards that. The difference there is paint is about 30 cents a lineal foot. Thermo is about 90 cents a lineal foot. So it does come with an increased cost, but you can get at least 5 to 7 years out of that time frame. Typically more, but you know, it just depends on the snow plows and all that good stuff too. The other thing is it's a little bit more expensive to have them come out and do that. We have a mobilization fee of about $2,000 for them to come out and paint all of our lines in the county, whereas with Thermo, it's about $5,000. So there's a little bit more cost up front, and then it is a little bit more costly per lineal foot, but I think the return is gonna be huge. We did a couple of sections this last year. So on the east side, on 4 North, between 7 and 800 East, so as you're going into Plevna, and then we also did the stop bars at the intersection in Plevna, which is another thing that we've never done before either, is stop bars. The county had no stop bars anywhere. So we are kind of testing some of those areas. And then actually we did another area on the west side on, I believe it was Alto? Was it Alto, or if it was, I can't remember, but we did another section on the west side of the county too, just to test it out, and we've gotten some really good feedback on that, so that's why I do want to increase that.
And the thermoplastic, it lasts for 5 years.
Yeah, it can last for 5, 7, maybe a little bit more, depending on how it's used, how it's run over. Obviously, the more snow plows that we drag over across it, you know, the more it gets kind of torn up a little bit too. But it is it's a very heavy material, and it's actually, you know, it kind of sticks up off the ground too. So
I assume the brining operation.
yes, yeah. And again, that goes in combo with the Thermo is going to be done on our heavier traveled roads. But we do need to time it so that we are not putting Thermo down and then the very next year we're paving that road. You know, we do need to be a little bit more strategic on how we do it. We can't just flip over immediately. We have to kind of think this through. But yes, that being said, our brine operations, the brine is going to be going on our main roads, which is where that Thermo is going to go to. So, yeah.
Do any of the county roads have like a side white line?
White lines?
Or
No.
is that state road?
We just have not currently done that, but that is something that I want to start including as well, especially on like our Altos and sometimes around the schools, or like Sycamore, where we've got lots of curving, or some issues where we have higher traffic, or we just want a little bit more control. I think that would help
So would that also be
delineate
a
that.
candidate, if you did do those, like a white sideline, would that also be a candidate for thermoplastic?
I would say Thermo. I would say if we need it, we should do it in Thermo. I don't think that we should waste our time or efforts on paint for edge lines. I just don't think it would benefit us as much. So, yeah, I agree.
You know, I find it simply absolutely amazing that painted lines are so effective that it keeps vehicles in their place as they're going 60 miles an hour down a road, and the oncoming traffic is going at equal speed, and all that separates them is a strip of paint.
Tiny little line. Yep.
And it works.
Yeah.
It really is a marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just another thing that we're hoping to add into our arsenal here. So
Do you have a substance that'll keep the deer from crossing in front of the vehicles when it's?
I wish. I wish. Nope. So in order to accommodate those increases, I did decrease our vehicle and equipment just because that was the biggest line and that was just the place that I had to move it. And that was only to keep our total budget the same as we did last year. I don't know if we can increase it. It kind of looks to me like maybe we can increase that bottom line, I think, a little bit. I think the fund can handle that. But that would be up to council.
Do you have any dump trucks you plan on buying in this or not?
Yes. So the next thing I want to talk about, what's that?
Is that a different fund?
No, it's not in front.
Okay.
It's vehicles right there. So I wanted to talk to you guys about equipment because that's going to take a little minute. So I did put in here in your packet. There's a kind of a stoplight sort of looking sheet that lists all of our dump trucks. So currently we have 19 dump trucks on hand, and then we have those 3 at the bottom that we are adding by the end of this year. So we like I said, we currently have 19. If you look at this, all the ones that are in red are more than 20 years old, which is awful, which is terrible. We only have 2 that are in that mid-range, 19 and 16 years old, and then we have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are in that green range that are less than 10 years old. So if you see this, it kind of highlights the need for those trucks, because what I will say is that our repair budget is strapped at this point. So including everything to the end of August, we have spent every bit but 15% of our repair budget. So I'll definitely be coming back to you for additionals for repairs, because those trucks are so old and we haven't even gotten to winter season. Winter season is when things like fail. And honestly, last winter was nothing, to be honest. Like, we didn't have a winter last year, so we were very lucky.
I keep hearing we're going to have a bad winter.
I have too, but I'm not going to listen just yet. Not going to listen just yet. So, I mean, you can see the age of these vehicles. The older they are, the less they like the winter weather, and it just becomes a struggle. And so I do see that we're going to have a lot of repairs. This is what we got. This is what we have to work with. So at the end of this year and in 2024, we're adding those 3 trucks. But if you look at the top, I'm only crossing out 1 of the vehicles. And that is because I would like to, at the bottom of your sheet, you can see that I've crossed off 2 of our graders. Because I would like to get rid of those while they're maybe still worth more than scrap. So my idea in not getting rid of more dump trucks is that we are getting rid of graders, which are a heavier burden for us. And we do need to learn those belly blades and kind of understand that system. We're also adding the brine operations too. So I think that will only decrease the need for more trucks for us. So what you see is, like, next year, so I should have said 2024. At the top right, that should say winter 2024 function. So you'll see that 2 of those trucks will turn into brine vehicles, and they will solely be just brine vehicles because they are a couple of our oldest trucks. And then we will get rid of truck number 31, which is that Freightliner that's 1996. We aren't getting rid of our very oldest truck just because that number 31 is more of a burden for us than the other one. So we are going to get rid of that 1 truck, and then we're going to adjust the use of our other trucks. So we're still going to hold on to 21 trucks, but that's because we're getting rid of one truck. We're adding 3, getting rid of 1, and getting rid of 2 graders. That makes sense? So I tried to outline that on this front sheet. I kind of went through, this is what we currently have, and we have 21 trucks and 4 graders. because we have 2 spares that we use during the winter, because we always have breakdowns, and those 2 spares are kind of thrown in wherever they need to go. And then the future, the 2024 to 26-ish range, I see us still having 21 trucks and 2 graders, but in the future, I'd like to come down to 19 trucks, maybe less trucks. So we will start to eliminate trucks and not have to have so many, but right now, since we do need to learn those belly blades, that's why we're hanging on to a few of those trucks. Now, what I hope is that we become really pretty efficient and we can park a couple of those, realize that we can get by with a lot fewer trucks, and then eventually just get rid of those trucks. That's my hope. But I just kind of wanted to explain that because I didn't want it to look like we're just hoarding trucks for no reason. We do have a plan to get rid of these and eventually go to fewer trucks, fewer than 19 actually. But it's going to take some time for us to do that.
So in any of that timeframe, 29, 30 timeframe, is there a plan for replacement?
Yes, yes. So if you go to the next page, it kind of has like a little, like a gray area on the top right corner. And this is our truck replacement schedule. So it's very similar to what I had on the previous page. We've got our first 19 trucks, and then we're going to add those 3 tandem trucks that we just have on order. And then as you go each year, in 25, I'm going to add 1 more truck with a belly blade. And then in 26 on through 31, I would like to add 2 trucks every year. So probably a single and a tandem each year for the next several years to try to get us out of that hole. So as you see, and I just did this as a general, we're going to get rid of the oldest truck. That may not exactly be what we do, just depending on who's the worst at the time. But I just did this chart to get rid of the oldest first. And so if you follow that chart, if we keep adding 2 trucks a year, we have to get to about 2032 to 2033 before we get out of that yellow-red range. Because really, we'd like to keep our trucks at 10 years old, because then we can start, selling them to help us maintain a good fleet. Yes, because at this point, we're running them until they're literally falling apart, and all we can do is scrap them because they're not worth anything else. So if we hang on to them and start trying to recycle them at 10 years, that'll help us to fund that equipment line. So.
How much are we talking for a replacement tandem?
Right now, we're paying almost $200,000 for a tandem. And we think it's about maybe 160 to 180 for a single. We haven't ordered one in a couple of years, so I'm not sure what the prices are exactly at the moment.
And it took 3 years for
yes.
the vehicles you have
yes.
now.
Yeah. That has quickened a lot. Like I said, the 2 internationals we ordered in 21, but with the Freightliner we ordered last year, kind of mid-year last year, and so we're getting it within a year. So I think that whole COVID material delays and all that has gotten vastly better. But it's still about a year and a half, I think, is kind of what we're looking at. We have ventured into the Freightliner, and they seem to be a lot quicker and a lot, stop there. We've tried them out, and we've been very happy with them. Okay. So they are a little bit more expensive than the internationals, but we want to drive this one and get it on the road and see how the guys like it, and see what direction to go. Because a lot of the components are very, very similar to the internationals. We stuck with internationals for so long because we wanted consistency in parts and all that good stuff. But there's a lot of very close similarities across the board anymore. So that's kind of not quite as much of a selling point for us anymore. So the fact that we can get them is a better selling point for us at this point.
So back to my question, do you have one of those in this 1169 fund budgeted?
I do. So for 24, ARPA is funding 2 of those trucks fully, and then 1 of the chassis. So in 2024, so this year, my budget includes buying one of the beds for those trucks all the brine equipment that we're trying to do, and then probably a plow, and then we are leasing a skid steer at the moment, just to try that material, that out. And then next year, in 2025, I do have in my budget to purchase a tandem with the belly blade. And then we may think about purchasing that skid steer, because I think that is a piece of equipment that we absolutely need to have. We have run the wheels off the one that we have leased, and it has been amazingly fantastic. We're releasing a different one because I think we want to have a different kind of model. We want one with a little bit more power so that we can run a mill head on it. So we're going to try that one out, and then if that works out, then we want to purchase that one in 25. And then we may end up getting like a tandem salt box, because our current salt boxes, we only have one tandem salt box. All the rest of them are singles. And getting a tandem, we put those on the east side of the county, because it does take us a long time to fill up with salt and then drive all the way to the east side of the county. There's a big time lag there. So going from a single to a tandem has helped us tremendously. So we want to get tandems for both of the east side salt trucks, and then we'll stick with singles maybe. So so we do have plans. We have one truck planned for 2025, a full truck, chassis, belly blade and bed and everything. And then in 26, I would like to do a single and a tandem each year from there on out. But then that takes up my entire equipment budget. So there's no room to buy any plows or any, anything like that. So obviously buying 2 trucks a year is probably not super realistic, because we are probably going to have to, take one of those years to buy some plows or, some things like that, unless we can find some more funding for our equipment.
So on your chart here, the shaded area is the
dead trucks.
is the one that you're gonna buy this year.
The ones on the bottom are the ones that I'm going to buy. The ones on the top are the ones that are going to go to the graveyard.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I plan on buying, I've tried to say that we can buy 2 vehicles each year from 26 to 31. But that's probably not super realistic, but that gets us to our time frame, our 10-year kind of time frame in 2023 is when we hit that. Our oldest truck would be less than 10 years old.
So, say for 2025, what would you anticipate from the time of order to delivery?
We are actually talking to International. They think that they have room in their schedule that we could order one at the end of this year and have it by 2025, in 25. So mid to late year 25 if we order at the end of this year. Yeah. So the other thing that comes in 25 is new emission standards. So we are afraid that these prices are going to go up quite a bit. So
You guys have a DEF tank out there yet?
we do. Yeah, we do.
A what tank?
Urea, it's the new emissions. You gotta run that plus your diesel control.
It's an additive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we
So you're already
do.
kind of halfway set up.
Oh yeah, we have been, because all of our pickup trucks have been for a couple of years, and then our newest, our service truck and our newest single that we had was required it as well. So, yep, just another thing. So,
Do you have any visions of ever purchasing any?
no, sir. Not large equipment. It is, I'm very opinionated on this. It does not make sense to do that. One, we use all of our dump trucks for plowing vehicles that work in the winter in very cold weather, which batteries do not like cold weather.
24/7.
Yes, and to have those used up, and then we'd have to bring them in and charge them for, I don't even know how long that we'd have to charge them. We don't have the facilities that are set up to charge anything. We'd have to run a completely new system to just have the power to charge one of those vehicles. I say this, I will not be the guinea pig for that. We'll let a few other counties do that and see how that flops or does great, and then we'll use their knowledge to move forward. I have looked into it, to be honest. I'm not trying to just, say no to new technology. I've looked into it, and honestly, it does not make sense. They're vastly more expensive to purchase. We're struggling just to maintain what we got. I don't know how we would service them, to be honest. I don't think that my mechanics, that would be something that would be outside of their wheelhouse, which is another cost because we'd have to send those out. There's just a lot that we would, a lot of cost incurred to those. So.
Recently saw a YouTube video of a chemical plant in normal electric.
Yeah, there's another concern. Yeah. I think hybrid vehicles make a little bit more sense than just full-on electric, but that's just not really an option. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense for us at the moment. I will say that. Yep. So, do you guys have any questions on equipment or anything? I know there's kind of a lot to digest, and
Okay, so yes, in 2025, you're looking to purchase with ARPA money.
No, ARPA's done.
Done.
Okay, so that's 2024 then.
2024's money, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the ARPA funds went
Got to be ARPA money. These trucks, these vehicles are paid
by the
with
end of
ARPA.
26. Yes,
Right.
yes, by the
So-
end of 26.
The vehicles that'll be delivered in 2025 to your list, there's ARPA money on them. That's these 3 vehicles right there,
Yes,
right?
the 3 that we should have by
Right.
the next couple of months, those are ARPA monies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to get them to 24.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So next year, will you slide 2026 vehicles? You have,
No, because 2025, out of the highway budget, we will pay for a tandem bed and chassis with the belly blade, and then we'll buy like a skid steer, hopefully, a salt box, maybe a plow or 2, kind of depending on how things shake out.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
You'll
yeah.
keep us informed.
Yes, definitely,
Okay.
yeah. Yep, we will.
We're pulling for you, Amber.
Thanks. We're doing all we can to stretch every penny and buy what we can with what we got. So, but yeah, so that's our plan. So, the last thing that I will mention about equipment is the little asterisk at the bottom of your sheet here. It's come to my attention that we have been using a forklift. It's a really big forklift. I think it honestly goes under the umbrella of the building maintenance under Bill Stone Street's guys, I think. But this forklift is stored over at the EMA building. The forklift is used by EMA, maintenance, Sheriff's Department, Kinsey, us heavily. So it's used by at least 5, maybe 6 departments. We've recently had to put like $150 into it with a cylinder rebuild. It is an old machine. I've tried to get the date on it, and everybody just says it's been here longer than me. It's old as dirt, is what I know. It is functioning, but I would like to put the bug in, I don't know if it's councilor commissioner's ear, to maybe replace that forklift. It's not going to be cheap, and it's not like any one department needs a forklift like constantly, but we all use that. So we all together could use one. It seems to be on its way down. So I don't know, just
How much you think it'll cost?
I have no idea. We had to fix it a week and a half ago. And so it just kind of was something that sort of came to my mind, and everyone's like, ooh, this thing's on its last leg. And when it goes, we're really going to miss it because we use it a lot. Because we sometimes get like big pipes that we have to offload or whatever. We get some pretty large loads that our backhoe can't, and even our loader can't handle, but the forklift has been fantastic, so.
So it's more than what a skid loader.
Oh, yeah. This is a huge forklift. And again, I don't know how old it is, as old as dirt.
So like, does the
But-
sheriff's department, they drive it down to, or they just use it there on site at your facility?
It's been driven
Okay,
around,
so it needs
yeah,
a driver.
yeah, it goes up and down the road.
Wow,
So,
it must be a big one.
it is, yeah, it's a very large forklift. And like I said, it's been incredibly useful for us, but it's not like we need one all the time. We don't need to purchase one for us. Like, it's been used by all of the departments here at the county, so.
What if
Just
there's a
something I
huge
would throw out
market
there.
for that with military?
Yeah, I mean, the replacement does not need to be a new machine. It could be, you know, something that's used for sure. It just, if,
I know what you're talking about.
just, yeah. Yeah, if it goes, it's gonna be sorely missed, and I don't know how we're gonna get some of those things done without it, but just something I wanted to start that conversation. So, anyway, and that's all I have on equipment. Do you guys have any questions on general equipment?
Perhaps you can research the forklift.
Yeah.
And see what it's gonna take.
Yeah.
And just-
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I guess my next fund that I wanted to talk about was, my MVH fund, the 1176 fund. So that one I didn't change too terribly much. I did decrease our insurance line because it does seem like we hadn't used that much, and I did decrease that quite a bit. It went from 600 to 500 because I looked at the last several years and that seems to have held. So I'd like to do that. And then I did increase our safety supplies. 2 reasons. One, we provide a little stipend for our guys to buy safety boots or winter gear. And it was getting to the point where they couldn't purchase a pair of boots with the stipend that we got them, so I had to increase that just so that they could afford some boots. We've got a lot of new guys that are starting, so that was very helpful for them. And then also, we do drug screenings through CDL requirements, and the cost of that has increased quite a bit too, so just to cover those costs. And then the other one I wanted to highlight too was the travel and training. That I increased substantially, and that is because we have started offering CDL licensure with our hires, with our new hires. We started doing that a couple years ago because previous to that, anyone who applied had to already have their CDL license, and that just made our pool of candidates very, very small. Because 2 years ago, the requirements for attaining your CDL got really stringent. So essentially, you have to go to school, and it costs between $4,000 and $5,000 to go to school. So that's hard for somebody who's starting out to attain that license in order to hopefully get a job with the highway department. So we've offered that as, you know, you can apply, and if you get through the interview process and it looks like a good fit, then we will offer them to go through the CDL class with a 3-year commitment to stay at the highway. And we've had quite a few take advantage of that. We've also realized that quite a few of our guys had Class B CDLs, and in order to pull our trucks with a trailer, you actually have to have a Class A CDL. So we have offered the upgrade, and some of our existing guys have taken advantage of that as well, so that we don't run out of drivers who can drive certain vehicles. It just makes it a little bit easier for us. So we did put, last year we put 2 gentlemen through that schooling, and this year I think we put 3. Yeah, we put 3 employees through that in the spring, and we have at least 1 employee that needs to go through that again. And so we provide the vehicle to the testing agency and the trailer, so that cuts our costs a little bit. But it is still fairly expensive for us to send those guys through the CDL training.
How long is that school?
It's about 2 weeks. There's quite a bit of like online training, so they can do that on our site. But then there is parts that they have to go down. And the school that we've found that's the best price is in Muncie. So they drive down there, take their class. I think it's about 3 to 4 hours at a time for about a week, and then they take their test there. So the class that we have includes the testing and all that stuff too. So yeah, it's about a 2-week process.
Yeah, it's been a big shift across the industry.
Yes.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm glad you have a commitment for a 3-year.
Yes.
Because that's what happened. We required that for our business. So people get that, add more value in their life.
Yeah. 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 So far it's worked out pretty well, and everyone's been really happy. And we've been happy. Everyone's passed their CDL. It's been good. So
That is very interesting. The cost of doing business, the cost of adding to your recruitment pool.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, in my time here, in the 4 years that I've been here at the county, I have hired 20 employees. And my total staff is 32 when we're full. So we have hired a lot. We've had quite a few retirements. We're just kind of in that bracket where we've got quite a few of our guys that are retiring age. So we've had quite a few of that. We had quite a few that just needed to leave to feed their families. They needed jobs that paid a little bit more so that they could, so yeah, we've had quite a bit of turnover, just like everybody. And so adding that CDL class has kind of helped us retain some of those guys. That's that. If you turn the page, I did want to go over our salaries just a little bit, because some of those things, 2 of them have changed. And so I kind of wanted to explain this, and this was in order to keep our bottom line consistent with last year. So if you go to that sheet with our salaries, the 2 lines that I have changed are, one is our labor and engineer's aid. So I did go to PAC early this year, and they approved funding that for 9 months, because we did have a gentleman fill that spot. So what happened is our engineering department at the end of 23 went through a little bit of a shift. We had to get rid of one of our guys, and then we had a part-time gentleman who had volunteered to go full-time in 24 to kind of fill in the gap and to teach and train for us. This is a gentleman who, Dave Oliver, he is the most valuable employee that the highway department has, myself included. He has been with the county for over 40 years. His knowledge is unmatched. So he's just been a gold mine. So the fact that he volunteered to go back full time for us in 24 was incredibly helpful. So he took the design engineer spot. And then we actually found somebody in our truck driver pool who was going to night school and wanted to kind of better himself, and this seemed like a good fit. So we tried him out for a little bit in that engineer's aid position, and he's worked out fantastically. He's picking up everything really quickly, and he's just been phenomenal in that position. So I would like to fund that for the full 12 months next year at his full salary. So that's why that has increased. We've had that line previously, we just didn't have anybody in that position. So we just didn't fund that line. So I would like to go ahead and refund that line.
That's the laborers, engineers aid?
Laborers and engineers aid, yes, correct. So I highlighted that in blue.
Is this the same person you just talked about? It's a different person, the 40-year person?
No, the 40-year person, he is the design engineer. So he took that design engineer position, which is essentially like my assistant.
Okay.
And then his assistant is that laborers, engineers aid. So we were able to internally fill those positions, which was really nice.
That's quite a accolade.
Yes.
To be the most valuable person
yes.
in the whole department.
Yes, he's been amazing. But he is very soon to fully retire. So that's why we wanted to take advantage of his training for our newer guy. So, and then the other change that I have made is in the mechanics department. So if you look to the left, we have 3 mechanics and then 1 lead mechanic. So we have 4 total mechanics in our department allotted for. Well, we have actually only had 3 mechanics in that department for the last several years. I would say 2.5, almost 3 years now. And that is an adequate number of mechanics for what we have. I think 4 mechanics is too many. There's not enough work to keep all 4 of them busy. So I do think having 3 total mechanics in our department is adequate. And what I would like to do is have 2 mechanics and 1 lead mechanic for a total of 3. So that's why if you look in the 2024 budget, we had a pretty stout budget for mechanics, and I've lowered that just because we've gone from 3 to 2 in that line. That makes sense. So if you look at the bottom line, our total salaries, we're actually under what we are asking for in '24 because we've made that concession of taking down that mechanic, and then we've made some shifts and adjustments in the last couple of years to hold the same number of people, but just kind of shift people around. Any questions on that? So yeah, so if you look at...
Then you have a lead mechanic, right? You're going from 3 mechanics down to 2 with one
with
lead
one of those being
mechanic.
promoted to a lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's right below the mechanic line there. He's
Yes.
14,101.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So if you look at the total salaries from 2024 to 2025, we're actually lower than what we were in 2024. We're asking for a lower budget for that. So, shameless plug, that means that we have room to give all of my guys up to a 5% raise and not affect my bottom line. I think it's warranted. I think it is necessary, and I just think they deserve it. They work really, really hard. They work crazy hours. They're out in the 100 and some degree heat index today, chip sealing, and then they go out in the winter in the bitter cold when everybody's snug in their beds, and we're out there plowing roads. So I would just like to shamelessly plug for my guys to get a pay increase because I think it's deserved. And like I said, I mean, I've hired 20 employees in the last 4 years. And the bulk of those people have left because of needing a better salary. It's part of it. It's the economy today. It's not getting any better. So we need to make our department better. So,
Amber, just so you know, again, I think I've told this before, but when my constituents talk to me, they talk glowingly to me for all the work I do on the highway department and keeping
well, take
the
it.
roads
Take
so
all of
well.
it.
And I have to let them know it's not me at all, that it's you and it's the crew.
Yeah.
And that we're very fortunate in Howard County, and they are so pleased, and they let me know often. And
Good.
just so you know, thank you.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, I think it's well deserved too. My guys work really pretty hard, so pretty proud of them.
So, I was slightly amused by the term, became my big guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up in New Jersey. We always said use guys, and use guys could be either male or female. So if we said use guys, it didn't matter whether male or female.
Yeah.
And I was thinking you were from Indiana.
I'm from all over.
You got some use guys.
I do. I got some y'all in me too. So I would like to say too, we had our first highway baby. One of our employees just had her baby this week. So we're very excited and very proud of our new highway baby too. So yeah.
What's the baby's name?
Actually, I don't know. He was born, he actually had to have some surgery this morning. So he's down at Riley now, but he's doing really good. He's strong. So I haven't actually gotten to talk to Mama because I just got back in town and haven't really hooked up with her because she's been busy with baby sick. So.
Amber.
Yes.
I appreciate all your thinking. I
Sure.
mean, all you do is think and the efficiency that you're putting into your budget and into the operation. It's just
Thank you.
overwhelming, and I know that you have to go to bed and think about all these things all the time.
A little
so-
bit sometimes.
Yeah, thank you for what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, and I just have one budget left. I guess I did do a little pie chart there. That's the MVH fund, just to show you kind of how much of the MVH is used up by the salaries and the benefits. So we have only 6% of our budget is used for other things like our office overhead, office supplies, nuts and bolts that we need here and there. Rags, rental equipment, safety equipment, that kind of thing. It's very small because the bulk of that budget is taken up by salaries and benefits. I think it's important, but as we go forward and raises keep happening, that fund gets overburdened a little bit too. So just something to think about. Nothing, detrimental at this point, but it's just something to think about too. So then the last budget I have is the MVH restricted fund, which is 1173. This is that sub-fund of 1176. And this is the money that we are required to use for infrastructure improvements. So the bulk of this is our bituminous, that we do all of our resurface and all of our pavement improvements out of that fund. I did increase that a little bit because I do think that our our fund can handle that. And then I also increased our culverts and our new signs a little bit. And that is solely because materials are just getting a lot more expensive. We are doing a lot more culvert replacements because we are trying to be a little bit more proactive, and we lay out which roads are going to be resurfaced that year. And then all of our guys go out and evaluate all the culverts in that section. And if there are some that are needing replaced, we go ahead and replace those before we do our resurface. So in previous times, we would do a replace when it collapses kind of thing, but we're trying to move into a more proactive situation. So we replace those before we do our resurface, and that way we don't have an issue a little bit down the line.
Nice thinking.
That's all I have for that one. So,
Amber, several have already said it, but I don't want to go without saying that you really do an amazing job, not only with what you do on the highways is great, but also with working really hard to keep your budget
yeah,
in line. So
yeah.
you do a very good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any questions?
I think
for
I've
Amber?
taken up tons of your time. So, you guys have any questions on any of that?
Thank you for the excellent presentation. And we wish you the very best and keep us informed. And
Okay,
we'll
absolutely.
see what we can do about the budget.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Our next bit of new business will be Kokomo Howard County Coordinating Council Director.
Try.
Amy Corn.
Hi. So, because I work so closely with Amber and not because she's in the room, I'm going to give her a big shout out too. You guys have no idea how cheap she is with your money. We're doing our new tip, and we're like, give us some. She's like, I've got to do this just right. So, honest to God, she does a fantastic job and really cares what she spends, and that says a lot. So, but we're begging her to spend money. Our money, your money, everybody's money, and she's ignoring me. You'll love me because I'm quick, I'm easy, and I apologize for missing last week. I truly do. I said, wow, this is what happens, you missed last week, to sit through a whole council meeting. No, it was really interesting, actually, because I've seen the city side for the last 18 years, but it's nice to see the other side of that since I do work with both, being the federal office. So all we are asking for this year is a measly $27,775 of your match money, because we run off of grants for everything else. That is actually 514 less than we asked you for last year. And that's really it. And I'll keep it short because I know there's a BZA meeting, because Jack told me, don't talk too much. But if you have any questions, happy to answer them. And thank you all for changing the bylaws. Thank you, Alan, for getting that through. And that was just a proxy. We don't allow proxy votes, and the state needed a proxy vote to be able to send somebody in their place because they're not participating like they should, and so they want to. So I appreciate that, because I know it's kind of silly. It's a lot of work for just one silly little thing. But, so that's it for me. If you have any questions, happy to answer them about anything.
Any questions? Tammy, thank you for coming in.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you for being patient
Oh.
with us.
That's nothing. I left my granddaughter in the car without the air. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. She's 14, and I told her she should come in and watch government in Works, and she said, Nana, please. And I said, well, sit in the car then. I left the car running. So, but you guys have a blessed night. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tammy.
Have a
Thank you
great
very
day.
much. That's it for our new business. Is there any other council business? Any council comments? If not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion has been properly made and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilman Maple. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.